The River Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane Anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality, arose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the River Realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the River Realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
Well, exclamation everybody, and welcome to Vagrus the Riven Realms. It is by Lost Pilgrim Studio. It's currently in early access right now on Steam for 10% off at $26.99 US, normally $30 US. It looks like it's probably going to be in early access until next year. So we're getting a look at it at the 0.5 version of it. There were a few sort of disclaimers thrown out at the very beginning. One is that it's apparently quite difficult. We'll see whether it's a fair difficulty or not. And two is that there's going to be lots and lots of reading. So I'm going to see what I could do. I want to be able to show the game off, but at the same time, if there's a lot of reading, I might paraphrase some things here and there. We'll see. Anyway, you know what? I haven't actually looked at any of the options, to be fair here. I just literally started this up. I haven't played any of the game yet, so I don't know exactly what I'm getting into. But I guess, you know what? Let's just roll with it and see what happens here. Looks like there's no options I can really deal with. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretched far away. From Ozymandias by Percy Shelley, sorry. I don't know where I got Perry from.
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
So apparently, from what I read, there's like 50 hours of the game already in here in the early access. So we'll see what we can do. I assume playing Pilgrims of the Wasteland is a tutorial kind of thing, so let's go with that.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune. It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways with this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west. This comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Hierophants, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals. But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap and spend their remaining funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either.
Welcome to Pilgrims of the Wasteland, a standalone story of Vagrus and the Riven Realms. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial text and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. The pointer icon can be clicked in tutorial windows to show what section it's referring to via pointer. Note that you have to be on the right UI screen for the pointer to appear. Although Vagrus is an open-world game, due to Pilgrims of the Wasteland being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning and opens up only later after the core mechanics have been introduced. You can access the hotkey list by pressing F11. Okay. Let's see what the hotkeys are. Load games F9. There's a load game but no save game. Interesting. Main menus F10, enter settlement, explore, camp, leave settlements, scouting, codex, leader, crew. Alright. I'll never remember those. Those are all interesting interesting buttons, I guess. I mean, sure, they start with the letter, but it's still whatever. On the campaign map, your comitatus always occupies a node and moves between nodes through paths. Moving along paths costs movement points, indicated next to each path. Every in-game day, you have a number of movement points to spend before you need to camp. To move, click on nearby node and select move from the radial menu. You can select a node that is further away. The MP cost of moving there will be calculated and the path highlighted. Move to scrap heap. Okay. Most of the story is presented through interactive text called events. Events let you make different choices at each step. Some choices can have a number of consequences, while others have various dependencies. Dependencies mean that you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisites. Skills, perks, characters, and so on. To select a choice, click on it, or use 1 through 9 to select one you like. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from afar as your comitatus slowly trudges along broken terrain. making its way south ponderously among dormant geysers. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in a perpetual twilight. "Are you all right?" Javik's voice resonates with sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him, your gaze lost in the distance where ash cloaks the horizon and the towering mountains to south and west. You turn to your Combs? Whatever. And note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been traveling the realms together for years now. There is no person in the world who you trust more than you trust him, except perhaps yourself. I know you feel that your hands are tied, but like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. Time will tell, but I have my doubts. It's a long shot and you know it. There wasn't much of a choice. Either this or returning my training license and hanging myself. It has to work. We cannot fail like this. Thank you for listening to me right now as a pep talk. Say time will tell. Javik nods. True, but it's better than just giving up. The crew agrees too. That counts for something, no? It does, yes. Good to know that they still have faith in me as their Vagrus. They do have faith in you still, Javik says. It should not come as a surprise since you have known and traveled with most of them for years and years. Some founding members of the Comitatus you could trust with your life, but you have heard stories before about Vagri who have been abandoned for less. Times being what they are, Javik trails off, with Imperials cracking down on us independents more heavily than before. Business is tough, everyone knows, and they appreciate your efforts to keep us floating. Our plan ought to give us another chance. When text in an event is highlighted pale blue, it means that you have found a codex entry. Clicking these opens the codex and navigates you to the story. Okay. The plan, you talked your traveling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the Western Mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap. So if I open that, Codex is a collection of entries, blah 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 blah, okay. Gives you a whole big thing about the history of Scrap Heap. I mean, there's a lot here. Holy crap. I'm not reading all that though. I appreciate that it's there, but I'm not reading all that. I wonder also how many people actually do, like I've seen this before where you have, you know, highlighted text that you can click on and it gives you more information. I wonder how many people in these games actually click on that stuff, because, you know, sometimes I feel like it's almost a crutch, like they're doing it to shove more information down, you know, at you, and then rather than to actually incorporate the information you need to know into the actual text you're reading, but whatever. Old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap, stocking up on said metal by spending your remaining coin and bringing the cargo down south around the Molten Tongue to Devon via Avernum and Ash. There's a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Sorry, let me make this full screen, I forgot. Such contacts are the boon of the long decades spent on the road. But even if Narbo, that villain... Wait a minute. So much text here, and I'm losing my place here. There is a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it before many others with similar cargo do. Such contacts are the boon of a long decade spent on the road. But even if Narbo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrap Heap, the road is not without its perils. Sneaking through the gap between the Dead Forest and the Molten Tongue is inviting disaster, so it is not a path many Vagri would risk. Of course, if this fails, you have utterly run out of alternatives. You think Narbo will help us out? The old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill, Devik wonders. If he is not willing, we must find a way to compel him. There's no telling what you would be capable of if it came to that. These are dark times. They call for desperate deeds, but such thoughts make me uncomfortable, to be honest. Javik rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You've seen this expression of his too often not to realize he is using his sorceress talent to read your mind. Taking a peek? Apologies. Javik rubs his eyes quickly and looks away. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them, you see. After joining your Comitatus 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, so he's Counselor Troy, but he's also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his inner energies. He comes in handy when doing business. Then there are his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of men and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrence. Yet because he is not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall, but you can't keep a secret such as this for long in the close-knit community of Comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of your combs who will put up with being near him for any length of time. But even so, he has not probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he is less in control now, which suggests he is more on edge about this whole trip than he lets on. Apology accepted, you manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There's still a day's travel ahead of us. Both of you head west to join the column. You go back to the Comitatus.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash-pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Bivanda Thar looming ominously over the horizon, half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry in this notorious place.
Okay. Well, I said move the scrap heap and still not moving. Do I have to do something here? To click on it again? What was the point of clicking on it the first time if it's not going to keep moving? At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdom lies Scrap Heap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes of the decrepit inhabitants stand precariously. Ash lingers everywhere, and the sun is almost always absent from the twilight skies. Deals are struck day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins of nearby Devender Thar, while the Heap King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Shady eyes and soot-covered faces watch from under ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. Track down Narbo. Can you be convinced to help you out? When a Comitatus enters a settlement, you can select from a variety of options, such as each on its separate pane, revolving around resting, resupplying, and trading. You also have the opportunity to initiate stories located in the settlements. This time only when the story pane is active, follow the only available story. You make your way to the Wraith's stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just beneath the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. Few frequent the establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javik, you leave the Comitatus to the care of Titus, your quartermaster, while you're gone negotiating. Ash is flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Wraith's stash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce it. If they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger, and of course they have no idea what Javik is capable of should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbo one never knows. Though you have told your crew that he and you go way back, the entrepreneur is a capricious and manipulative man with whom you do not part on the best of terms. Does he remember that? Surely. Could he be persuaded to take your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminate the common room. Shadowy faces turn toward you and observe you through the smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large heap lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. I'm going to say make your way confidently over to Narbo. Entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of him and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy, dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with the weathered and mutated left arm that hangs limply at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lithe man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder, it has been 10 years. I should have worn my glasses for this, man. I'm struggling here because the text is so freaking close together here. The fuck, mate, he blinks. I thought you croaked. People, Narbo waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. The man finishes his sentence for him as the merchant nods vehemently. That business with Kernak outpost in the storm, Narbo adds. You tell them that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. You described the horrors of that night briefly. You add how many of your original comitatus died there, close friends, old traveling companions, but you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh, that fucker Irifans looked after you something fierce, eh? Narbo chuckles heartily. But I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about old times, eh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wave of his meaty hand. Apologize to him for the unfortunate way you parted 10 years ago. As far as I can tell, you never did anything against me, eh? Narbo shrugs with a wry smile. Of course, you could have sent someone to warn us, the bodyguard finishes the sentence. Back when Narbo and you parted ways, Avernum's Collegium was hot on your trails. They got offended by how you two outplayed them by smuggling in a shipment of exotic spices without their knowledge and selling it to a local nobleman's merchant house. Look at Narbo and tell him there was no way of warning him or even knowing where he was after the chaos was unleashed following the heist in Avernum. You had to get your crew out of there, so you did. The merchant is fiddling thoughtfully with a stack of papers while listening to you. I appreciate you coming clean, even if the sorry business was so many years ago, he says after a long pause. The bodyguard becomes visibly less tense. But something tells me that that ain't all you came for still, so what is it? You breathe in, time to outline your proposition. You explain to Narbo how you want him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you would then smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. The profit on the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan looks solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you are done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you have been thinking a long time about it, he says, as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for your asking and not much else. Now, don't do that, mate. That would make me, what, an almoner, the bodyguard adds discreetly. That a word? Narbo looks up at him. When the man nods, he turns back to you. Aye, an almoner. See, I'm no almoner. You know, you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? Tell him that you'll be in his debt. He'll make a tidy profit as it is, but you'll owe him a favor. I suppose you don't plan on croaking just so I can't collect on said debt. Narbo's chuckle turns into a short wheezing cough. Alright, well, I know you to be a man of your word, and we used to run together, so I know you're good. But just to be clear, you do owe me for this, and I'll collect. I'll collect right now, in fact. You headed to Devon by way of Avernum, eh? When you nod, Narbo leans closer and signals his bodyguard. The man with the dreadlocks steps closer and carefully produces a small package from beneath his leather jerkin, then puts it into the merchant's palm. This here little fella is mighty important to me, see? You take this out of the city and deliver it to my associate in Avernum, we're even. You get your discount scrap from me. Merchant offers you the package. Javik draws in a breath, but before he can speak, Narbo interrupts him. And before Pretty Boy here asks, no, I won't tell you what's in it, and don't even think about opening the package. What I can say is, it ain't dangerous to you itself, but you might want to keep it hidden from the damn militia of good old Crap Heap. Okay. You take the package. The way Narbo glances at you makes it clear that you have no other choice. This might just be the opportunity you had hoped for. The package is small enough to fit in your palm, feels very light, and is wrapped in fine leather. You pocket it after briefly observing it. You'll be looking for a man named Scornar in Avernum. He ain't to be trifled with either. Just tell him I sent you and you'll be fine. You can find him or his men in Lavinus watering hole most of the time. Give this little fella to him and to him only. Understand? After you assure him you do, Narbo instructs you to give him an hour, then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They will know what price they should give you on the metal scraps by then. Motions to his man, you and Javik stand up to make ready to leave. Reverie, and we'll take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people the idea that they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Or anyone to connect us and run to the militia, for that matter. You got what you came for, so you leave the race stash through the back entrance and head back to the Comitatus. Okay. Your journal located in the bottom left is now active. It is your means to follow stories and tasks. Open your journal now by clicking on a book in the bottom left corner. You mean this book? That doesn't look like it's part of the... Okay. So, first piece of feedback. This looks like it's part of the background, not something you can actually click on. So you might want to fix that, because if that's going to be something that we need to refer to, it needs to look like it's something that can be clickable. The journal allows you to view your quests, tasks, and other related information. You can search for entries and filter them. On the top left, entries are separated into objectives and qualities into the respective panes. Objectives are your quests and ongoing stories. The text of a selected list item appears on the right. These describe the quest or task and provide active objectives. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark icon and appear on top, while already read entries are marked by gold dots active, and a green check mark completed or a red cross circle failed. Tasks are non-narrative missions and goals you can complete for rewards. There are several types, like trade opportunities or mercenary work, but in Pilgrims of the Wasteland you can only find passengers here. Passengers have to be taken to your destination where they will compensate you for your trouble. Be careful, because sometimes passengers will leave if you take too long to get to their destination. Qualities can be statuses, gathered information, secrets, and so on. Unread entries have a blue exclamation point, blah, 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 blah. Okay. A lot of stuff. To the package from your old friend, delivered to a man named Schooner in Avernum. This shipment, you must save your Comitatus by taking a large shipment of metal to Devon. Buy 24 scrap metal at the market. Have at least 800 supplies. Market. Use them out in the fire. Package. Okay. Sure. All right. Market pane is now active. Navigate to market pane by clicking on the scales icon. The market pane displays the available goods you can buy at the salesman's market on the right and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market or sell your own goods from your cargo hold here. When buying or selling, buy or sell one increment only by clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed goods. Holding shift and clicking the buy and sell buttons buys or sells a whole stack, respectively. Drag and drop the icon for buying and selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity you wish to buy or sell. Oh, shift clicking the buy or sell buttons buys a whole stack. Shift clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity. You know, or you can make a better UI. Is what I say to that. I mean, I get what they're doing, and I like that there's, you know, I like that there's some quality of life things here, but I mean, just make a better UI. Why are you hiding all this stuff under a shift click? Like, just put it in the UI. It does not hurt to do that. There's plenty of games that do this exact same thing, and they do it far better than hiding stuff. Purchase 24 scrap metal. So they're saying if I shift click buy, it will buy the entire stack, which is apparently 6. If I shift click this, I say max. Just weird. That's just weird. Just, you know. And it stacks 6 at a time? Why does it stack 6 at a time? Like, you've got 250 supplies per step. Why stack things at all? Is it just because you really want to make sure that we don't have enough room for things? I don't like that. That's a cheap trick, friends. I understand that. I appreciate the need for having a maximum amount of stuff that you can have, but why? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do this, then just have a weight limit. You might as well just do it that way. You know what I mean? Having things stacked to weird stacks, like why 6? Why not 24? Having something like that is just. I get that it eliminates the need for you to do some math in your head about how much, you know, weight you're carrying around and all that stuff, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's nonsensical. Like, just let us carry what you got to carry. You know, weird. It's just weird because what happens now is, like, obviously there's 3 empty spots here, and it looks like we'd have to buy more. But what's going to happen now is this cargo hold screen is now completely useless, right? Because now I got to look at every one of these things. Oh, that's scrap metal. Oh, that's scrap metal. Oh, this is okay. That's supplies. You know what I mean? Like, eventually this is going to get so crazy with everything just randomly strewn about in it that it's you save everyone a whole lot of trouble if you just say, here's a weight limit, done. You know. Purchase 24 scrap metal and additional supplies to have at least 800 units. Okay. Because, like, now they want me to have 800 supplies, right? So how many supplies do I have? I've got 500, 700. Okay. Now I gotta buy this whole stack somehow. Do this. Max. There. Yeah, okay. That's just weird. I get what they're doing. I understand. But it's like we're beyond. Minecraft was a 2013 game. We're now beyond that. you don't have to stack things in weird amounts anymore. Equipment that you can attach to Comitatus is sold on some markets or found throughout your travels. To provide bonuses and upgrades, you can switch between a market of goods and equipment using the buttons over the list of items on the market pane. Switch to the equipment tab and purchase the awnings equipment from the market. Why? What do I need that for? Oh, for when we're camping, I guess. Okay. Equipment you own are in a pool below the Comitatus illustration. In order to gain their bonuses, you need to equip them first by dragging and drop them into the appropriate slot on the illustration. Equipment can only be placed in a slot that matches its type, except that equipment of any type can be placed in the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip equipment by dragging it back to the lists. Okay. So harnesses. So which one of these is harnesses? That's navigation, miscellaneous, cargo, harnesses. Okay. I don't know why I couldn't just like double click it and have it go there, but whatever. Items, the third type of cargo that do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. You can switch panes in the settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. You now freely check the settlement tab. When you're done exploring, click on the arch icon on the bottom right to leave Scrap Heap. When you leave, you cannot come back to this place, so make sure you do it. What is it? Items? Do not take up cargo space. Okay, and are not equipable. Got it. They're used and tracked in certain events. Got it. You can switch panes in a settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. I don't know what that sentence is supposed to mean. What is that? What is that supposed to tell me? I have no idea. I don't know what that last sentence was supposed to mean. But when you're done exploring, really check the settlement tabs. I don't know what I don't know what they're getting at. Like none of these are active. And these are just the only two that are active here. I have no idea what any of that means. I think they threw a sentence in here that is just there for being there. Alright, let's just leave Scrap Heap. I have supplies for 8 days. Okay. Packed up, restocked on supplies, and with all your business here concluded, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrap Heap behind in the morning. Spend the night inside a guarded compound, not for free though. On second thought, there's still things you wish to explore in Scrap Heap. I mean, I could do some of those stories, I guess, but let's just go. Let's see if we can get into the main story maybe at some point here. One lag is, I guess, the currency. How many of those do I have? 4, I guess. Okay. You set out at dawn. Ash is flitting from the sky, and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your Comitatus reaches the west gate of the town. You notice almost immediately that the militia at the gates is questioning and inspecting travelers. Move along towards the inspection. You realize that even if they are looking for the package Narbo gave you, there is a minuscule chance of finding it among several departing caravans, all made up of dozens of people respectively. Besides, the packet is tiny and well hidden at the bottom of a sack of dried mushrooms. A robed magistrate of the Heat King appears to coordinate the search effort, picking out people or even whole traveling groups for inspection. As your Comitatus draws near, it only takes a passing glance from him to check you and your crew before he motions the guards to let you through. Quietly pass under the gate and out into the broken wasteland. Comitatus is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to make it alive to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? You and your abilities, not mine. Agreed. There may be hope left for the Comitatus after all. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not like we started this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your duties and the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you should reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. The journey continues. +3 morale. Okay. Second chance. I don't know what that achievement means. Your progress is saved at checkpoints. Whenever you leave a settlement, reach a story-related checkpoint, as well as the start of each in-game day, your game is saved automatically, overriding the previous autosave save. Manual saving is unavailable in the standalone story Pilgrims of the Wasteland. In the open world main campaign, you can save manually in the game menu. Okay, except during combat and events. Alright, that's fine. You can load your save games from the load menu, F9. Why did they put save under the game menu and not just make it F6 and then this quick save and then F9 to load? Weird.
There they were, with a full cargo hold and filled with newfound hope. Yet, the road ahead still promised hardships and peril. I traveled with them southwards, expecting to reach more habitable lands beyond the Molten Tongue's river of lava.
Alright, well, I guess we're moving forward here. Crew Management UI is now active. Click on the sheet on the top left corner to open it. This one? The Crew Management window allows you to manage your Comitatus. Morale is the general mood of your Comitatus. If it ever drops at 1, there's a chance that it will dissolve and you lose the game. You can see the current effects of your morale below the rating. Obedience indicates how satisfied your slaves are. Low obedience leads to theft, runaways, and worse. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters and treat your slaves well, or punish them consistently, to raise obedience. Nutrition shows you how well fed your crew is. Low nutrition incurs penalties. Extra rations raise nutrition, while starving your crew repeatedly lowers it. Vigor indicates how tired your Comitatus is. Low vigor results in penalties on tests and in drastically slower Comitatus, which can spell doom quite fast. You can see the current effects of vigor below the rating. Good. Upkeep is how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Consumption is how much food your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to a quick death in the wastelands. Workforce is generated by workers and slaves. You have to have enough workforce to cover Comitatus needs, including beasts, crew, and passengers. Going below the required number bestows serious penalties. Passengers are people your Comitatus takes to your destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay. Here you can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your Comitatus. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount. For now... Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button. While outriders are excellent fighters, mounts without riders carry cargo. You can always dismount fighters using the minus button. For now, add an outrider, then close this window by clicking X. Okay. Now one fighter. What does the outrider do for me? Oh, they're exceptionally good when attacking. They're mount. Okay. So, one thing I'm going to say, and I know this is going to be a thing that probably is a little bit too picky, but your tutorial is... How can I put it? The tutorial in this game is a mouthful. I appreciate that you want to show everything off, but honestly, a lot of this stuff you could probably just figure out without having a freaking pop-up. You know what I mean? Like, I think I know what upkeep means. I think I know what consumption means. I think I know what crew and beast mean. As long as you've got tooltips, I can pretty much figure these things out. You know what I mean? Crew status, passengers. I mean, these are English words that make sense. Okay? Having pop-ups that are like, hey, go check your crew stuff is great. That's fine. But you don't need all those 5,000 other things that are like, we're going to go into great detail about your consumption and your upkeep and all. Nobody's going to retain that information. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There comes a point when it's like, just let us freaking play the freaking game. You know what I mean? It's like, no one's going to consume all that stuff. It's nice that it's there. And it would be nice if these windows had like a little question mark on them that you can click on it and then it would give you all that information if there was anything here you couldn't understand, which is great. That would be a lot better than just having it freaking in your face constantly. It's like, look at this now. Now look at this. Now look at this. Now look at it. You're not going to... I can't retain any of that information. None of that information is going to be retained. Again, a tutorial is only as good as how well it shows what you're doing, right? I'm a big show me, don't tell me person, right? If there's something important, you can, by all means, show me. Like, give me an example. Show me what a battle looks like. Have me lose a battle, and then tell me why I lost a battle, and then rewind time and and then show me how to do it right. Like those kind of tutorials, great. This kind of thing where it's like, read this other wall of text, read this wall of text, read that wall of text. Bullshit. You know what I mean? It's not worth the time. It's not worth the effort, right? Just put a damn button on there that gets me in a tutorial. And if I see something on the screen that I can't understand, have a tooltip, have a button at the top so it describes the whole screen. Done. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be this difficult. Anyhow. Alright, so I guess we're done there. I suppose. Okay. Guess we're walking 2 more steps. So can I actually click on something down here? Oh, well, that worked that time. You've run out of movement points and need to camp, ending the day. Being on the road all day, spending most of your MPs lowers the vigor of your comitatus that you can replenish by camping. You also camp earlier than running out of MPs, which helps raise vigor faster. Okay. At the end of each in-game day, the next camp settles down for a night. You can decide to offer normal or double wages for current day. Double payment increases morale. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, or crew payments, but the longer you delay, the grumpier your crew gets. Obedience and nutrition also appear here. Workforce needs shows how much workforce generated by workers and slaves you need to maintain the comitatus. Down below the required, bestow serious penalties. You have the option to give out less or more supplies under rations, which penalizes boost vigor and morale. Starving your crew will have long-term negative effects on nutrition. All the look icons. Fine. I don't know. Whatever. Oh my god. Just like, you know, I'm not even going to read that. Fuck off. Come on. Really? Just get the fuck out of my face. God damn. I'm sure there was important information there, but I'm so fucking tired of this thing already. Like, Jesus Christ. Just pay now, I guess. And oh wait, what is it? 7. What are these? 5? Does that go into 3? Does 5 go into 3? Make 7? I don't pay later. I don't. Workforce sustained. Rations 100% invigorated. Blah, 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 blah. Defense orders. What do we got here? Post no guards. +1 vigor. Post guards. Sufficient armed crew. No bonuses, no penalties. Okay. Insufficient armed crew. Post guard. What? What's the difference between this post guards and this post guards? Other than, is it just post more guards? That's why it says 11? The fuck? I mean, isn't that like a binary choice? Either you post guards or you don't post guards? Isn't that how that works? Just post guards, I guess? Obedience is compliant. 5% slave workforce. So that makes the obedience go up. Okay. Vigor is energetic. Instead of invigorated. I mean, sure. Okay. Hunting and foraging. Send out your scouts to hunt. They can return with supplies, but we have enough supplies, right? So, yeah. Workers to forge. They can return with supplies. Send your slaves out to forage. I mean, I think we're okay for now. I would imagine. Okay, so we're at a new day, I guess. Where does it say how many movement points I have? Oh, 10. 10 of 10, okay. That's why 3, 6, 9, alright. Okay, nutrition is sustained. Compliant. Energetic. Invigorated. Root upkeep. So it's... I definitely don't have enough money for that. Morale is 6. Okay. After a long day's march under bleak skies and harassed by hot winds, the Comitatus finally settles down in a wide ravine. After taking care of camp chores and checking on all your combs, you go to your tent and tuck in for the night. There are benefits to sleeping out in the wasteland. The silence is quite calming, tranquil even. Only the murmur of the distant fire-belching mountains, the whisper of the wind, and the occasional groans of your beasts can be heard. Except, something else is making a muffled noise you do not recognize. Your eyes flick open. Something is wrong. What in Tartarus is it now? You rise and check it out. Leaving your tent and passing the sleeping beasts, you are just about to call to a guard when you stumble upon a large quadrupedal creature covered with fused bone protrusions. It is munching on supplies scattered across the ground, evidently from a torn open sack lying nearby. The creature is a Jakara, a wasteland scavenger that hunts in packs. Before you can utter a word, the monster charges you. And out of the shadows, Morwen leaps at it, tackling it aside and cutting its hide with her bone axe in a follow-up swing. You breathe out, realizing that she has probably just saved your life. Javik runs up to you just as the creature backs off and lets out a long howl. There's more of these accursed things, boss. Must have sneaked past the perimeter guards. They are trying to chase him off, he blurts out. As he does, you can hear yelling and the sounds of a battle from around camp. The wounded Jakara is joined by another one from behind a cargo pile, and the two of them start circling you. Javik steps beside Morwen, and they get ready for a fight. Alright, companion combat is turn-based, where 1 to 6 enemies fight against your team of 1 to 6 companions. You can use skills of your companions to defeat your enemies, protect your companions, and set yourself up in advantageous positions on a combat board. Companion combat is made up of rounds. Each round, all the participants take turns to act, and when everyone has had their turn, the current round ends, and a new round is started. This goes on until either your companions or your enemies are defeated. Combat board is divided into two sides. The friendly side, where your companions and occasional allies are, and the opponent's side, where your enemies are. Each side has a front row, melee row, and a back row, range row. Each row has 3 positions. Certain skills can only be used when standing in a position in an appropriate row. Okay, let's begin fight button. The order in which combatants receive their turns is according to their initiative. At the beginning of each round, all active combatants add 1 to 6 random to their initiative to determine what order they progress through the round. 99 order shows the order in which the combatants receive their turns. Wise leaders use information plan ahead. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. Melee skills can only be used from the front row. They can only target front row enemies, even though that one just targeted a back row enemy. Sure. They're adjacent to attacker's position or back row enemies if no front row enemy blocks them. Oh, okay. Because of these rules, positioning in melee is paramount. Oh my god. All characters can move to any adjacent position on their own side. If they move into a position that is occupied by another character, that character is pushed out of the position and occupies and has to be moved to an adjacent free position, even to the position the other character has just left. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against characters directly behind them, but also make them more difficult to hit with certain range skills. Wait. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against characters directly behind them, but also make them more difficult to hit with certain range skills, those that have line of sight property. When you want to move, select the move icon and click on it to confirm. Okay. Jesus Christ. It's so much, like, why is there so much text? Like, all you had to do was say, move Marwyn to front Javik to protect him. All this could have been explained much more succinctly than it is. It's like there's just so much shit here to read, and it's not necessary to do it in that fashion. How do I tell her to move over here? Oh, I hit the foot icon, right? Okay. I mean, sure. And then I guess I tell him to move. Wait, what? Okay, she's still selected. Move. Alright, can I select him now? Or is that not a thing that I'm allowed to do? Why doesn't she actually move? What the frig? What? So now she moved. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. This is so janky. It's just crazy. Each companion has 4 combat skills. Use Mind Blast to attack one of your opponents. Okay. I clicked Mind Blast and then I clicked the opponent. We have to double click them? It doesn't say click them twice. It just says all this text and none of it is fucking helpful. Use Marwyn's Savage Kick. Send to the back row, denying it an attack. Okay. Fine. Savage Kick. You can consult the combat log, whatever. I mean, just, like, get out of my face already. I'm so sick of that already. Premonition. Defense bonus, friendly ranged. So what does this do? Hypnosis. Moves to where you command it. Mind Blast. Initiative bonus and accuracy bonus. Oh, okay. Alright. I don't know why you have to click it twice for. It's weird. Great. What's she got here? Adjacent enemies in the same row, then move to the side. Break against a single opponent. Whiplash. Whip strike that pulls a single opponent forward. Okay, so I just basically want devastating blow, right? Oh, I guess these are just 1 point each here? Is that how that goes? Vitality 10 on... Oh, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to completely kill that thing. Honestly. I'm fine with completely killing the thing. I was just not expecting it. Was that 6-9? Okay. What's she at? 6? These... What is with these bars under here? Because they... So I guess the yellow is the power, and then... Okay, fine. Yeah, the bars are just... I don't know why you would need... I don't know why you would need to combine both of these here. I really don't. Because, like, she has 6 health left, but it's like... It's only 2 boxes, so what was the point of any of these boxes here? Like, just... You'd totally get rid of those. And it would make no difference to the game. I can still roll over and get the tooltip. Okay. Or at least... Or put under them, like, the information that was in the tooltip. Because it's more important than what she's actually got here. I guess... I guess we're doing a... This thing's attacking again. After her. She have a... There's nothing that she can protect herself with, right? Okay, I guess we'll just do that then. Oh, and we killed it. The 2 Jahara lie dead at your feet. Marwyn wipes the foul-smelling blood from her axe blade as a guard arrives and talks to her. You okay, boss? Javix pats you on the shoulder. You nod, turning to Marwyn as she approaches you. All hostiles taken care of, she says. They got to some of the food, but we could take their meat and other parts and make up for it. Harvest the damn critters before going back to bed. Perhaps you'll gain something from this in the end. What is that? 2 ivory, 90 supplies, 5 beastalions. Okay. I guess we're just going this way. Your chart is now active. Open it by clicking on a chart, top right corner. Charge your tool navigating wastelands of Zerrin and planning out journeys. You can move around. Mouse button. Any discovered settlements. Choose your mark. Be marked. Mark a Vernum south of you on your chart and then close it. Okay. 6 days travel. Got it. Don't we still have movement, right? Yeah. Forced March allows you to move further than your maximum movement points in a given day. Forced March movement uses marching MPs. Marching along paths and its cost is indicated by red on a campaign map. Although forced marches get you further, use them carefully. Your crew loses vigor and even morale rapidly if you march too often without extra resting. Strongly suggest refraining from frequent forced marches until you have more experience, high vigor, less stuff. Okay. So, field companions. You always get to work. R1 knives, bandages, boiled water, blah 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 blah. Who would you like to treat? Treat Marwyn. He helps with pain every now and again when her wounds are filled with. We're using medical supplies. Yeah. Who would you like to treat? Treat Javik. Medical supplies. Okay, good. I keep them up and healthy. How much? We have supplies for 7 days. Good. I guess we gotta pay it later because we don't have the money. What's the morale? Steady? Can I... Well, let me pay now? I don't know if it'll let me pay now or not. I guess it did. Who knows? Alright. As the Comitatus is scaling another stretch of black sand dunes, one of the outriders you had sent out to screen your left flank rides in on the line and heads immediately to you. You can see the man is in a panic right away from the way he hops off the saddle while decelerating and almost falls over. Before he reaches you, your guardsmen are already setting up defensive perimeter to east. You beckon to the beast drivers to halt the line. Vagrus, they are coming. I saw them walking over the dunes. The pilgrims are coming. A murmur of terror washes over the Comitatus. Clearly your scout was referring to the last pilgrimage. This group of spectral horrors is known to appear out of nowhere and eradicate even large groups of travelers in a matter of minutes. Nobody quite knows what happens to those who encounter them up close, as nobody has lived to tell a tale. Some reckless people were reputedly able to take a peek at the otherworldly wayfarers, but during your many years as a Vagrus, you've never met any such person whose story was credible. You know all too well that if your outrider tells the truth, and you see no reason why you wouldn't, the only chance of survival is for all of you to run or to hide. So do we run? Do we hide? Or do we run? I'm going to assume that if they're coming in hot on us, we'd be better off trying to find a place to hide. Outriders you had sent westward report that there is a rocky area not far away. After heading west for a quarter of an hour in great haste, the Comitatus finds a stretch of badlands crisscrossed by shallow ravines. The jagged, tall rock formations here are half covered in the fine black sand of Arenus Negris. Already, the scouts are busy setting up hiding places among the rocks and gullies. You are all behind cover in a matter of minutes. Everyone settles down and they either pray to whatever gods they believe in or prepare for a desperate last stand. But what about you? Perhaps there's a chance now to take a look at the last pilgrimage from up close. No, surely it would be insane to attempt such a thing, wouldn't it? As you're pondering this, the wind picks up from the northeast, carrying with it clouds of black dust. Perfect cover for spying. There's still time before the storm hits with a full brunt of force. Probably take a peek at them or hunker down. If I try to take a peek at them, I bet I'll find out that they know that they're onto us or something, maybe. Yeah, sure, let's creep out among the dunes. It takes about 10 minutes for the feeling of what you're doing is utter madness to settle in. By then, you and a scout are creeping forward in the dust storm. Going is rough despite wearing hoods and scarves to protect your faces and eyes, but eventually you make it to the set of dunes through which the pilgrimage is expected to move. After 10 more aggravating minutes, a dull light appears over the dunes to your left. As it gets closer, it is revealed to be a blanket of white-yellow radiance that covers a shambling assembly of sickly figures. They cross the dunes not 50 yards from where you're hiding, but due to the awful dust and the eerie light, you cannot make out much. They appear to be men of sorts, or at least humanoid, wearing long robes that remind you of old depictions of pre-calamity clergy. Some of them lean on staves. A faint chanting is on the wind, and both of you are struck by a weird sensation as if someone walked over your grave. Strange images infringe upon your peripheral vision, elusive and unformed. The otherworldly congregation passes in what feels like hours and takes the dust storm with them. You walk back to the rest of your people wearily. Some people talk of strange images passing before their eyes, much like waking dreams, while the pilgrimage was close by. Comitatus digs itself out of the black sand and dirt ponderously. You're ready to depart in half an hour. Most of your combs are hushed, and keep a wary eye on the horizon and on you for days to come. The sooner you leave, the better. -1 morale, -1 movement. Okay. Guess we're setting up camp too. 5. It's okay now. 16. We have 16. Okay. Energetic is the vigor. Guess we're still okay with that. Combat strength and everything. Sustained nutrition. We have 6 days of supplies. Morale is steady. So I think we're good there. Yeah. Alright, another day. I guess same old here. Do I need to go hunting and foraging? Do we have enough supplies? I assume we have enough supplies. The Comitatus climbs the last black dune and comes to a halt on your mark. Standing on one of the carts, you spy the horizon carefully before hopping down and convening with your most trusted. Ahead looms the voiceless lake, a place of deathly quiet and utter peril. The lava flow of this particular tendril of the molten tongue cools down here below a tough shell of a dark rock, covered by steaming water. Yet the shell is not solid enough in places. It can crack in the blink of an eye and open under one's foot, leading to a sudden, scalding death. There are ways to guess where it is safe to cross, but it has to be done slowly and attentively. Scouts know their way around here, but because the lava changes constantly beneath the shell, they have to rely on finding a new way through each time. The lake is voiceless because everyone has to keep completely quiet. That way one might hear the shifting lava and the cracking shell just in time to avoid disaster. Your lieutenants agree that crossing over to the far side of the shell is still better than going around and into the Arenas Negras. However, especially after coming so close to the last pilgrimage a few days ago, nobody in their right mind would go near the damn place. And so you're stuck with the plateau surrounding the voiceless lake. High chance of success. Alright, let's do it. Going step by step, listening carefully to any telltale sounds while sweating profusely, every member of the Comitatus manages to make it through. After hours that felt like days, you can turn away from the accursed lake and head southwards. The crew becomes animated as you leave the perilous plateau behind, even joking among themselves about the constipated silence back there. You leave the voiceless lake behind. Okay. +1 morale. Good. We can use that. We still got 5 movements.
Just as we were about to leave that damnable lake behind, we heard it. An abominable shriek pierced the air and made us gasp. It came from behind some hills nearby, coupled with the ruckus of battle. The armed women and men of the Comitatus looked at their Vagrus questioningly.
Oh boy. Scouts come running toward the cart line as you're about to enter the Badlands south of the lake and hear what could only be described as a paralyzing howl accompanied by unmistakable sounds of battle. There's a battle going on, Vagrus, just beyond yonder hills, the scout points southeast. Some armed folks are being attacked by bloody undead. A murmur washes over the crew and many of them ready their weapons. Not to give aid to fellow travelers in dire need is believed to attract dire peril unto yourself. Besides, it would be better to fight the undead together than alone if it comes to that. Tension is rising with each passing moment, with everyone watching you, waiting for you to give the order. Ask Javik to use his abilities to spy out the battle from here. Javik frowns in concentration and massages his temples. Sweat beads appear on his brow almost instantly. Damn, these mines are difficult to reach, he says, panting. And being in combat does not help either, but it's almost as if they were trained to keep out prying. These undead have no minds of their own, being animated by dark magic and all that. Sorry, I know I'm not much help. What do? We should help them, right? Yeah, rush in and attack the undead. You clamber over the next few hills and look down upon the site of a brutal melee. Bodies are strewn across the field. Most of them are mutilated undead, but some are mangled and burnt humans in dark clothes. Another such man, a robed priest with a shaven head, falls to the ground after flying half a dozen yards following a bone-crunching hit from a looming white giant. The creature looks like being made up of several... Okay. Creature looks like being made up of several bodies fused by some combination of natural disaster or twisted magic. That sentence doesn't make any sense. The rest of the shamblers look like they are smoldering. The great white abomination engages the two last men standing, a white-faced, lightly armored enforcer with a shield and tall man in elaborate black armor wielding a greatsword. Both of them look the worse for wear. There's no time to lose. You and yours rush to the aid of the two men. A fight commences and your men engage the undead. For the first round to start, you have to deploy your companions in available positions. On the friendly side, you do not need to deploy all your companions. Sometimes it's best to avoid sending a wounded companion into battle. Blah, blah, blah. You can deploy a companion by selecting the portrait from the roster. You can switch between your defense mode, block or evade, by clicking the defense mode button. Defense modes are set to higher value mode by default. Switch between our defense mode, block or evade by clicking the defense mode button. Defense modes are set to the higher value mode by default. Okay. Sure. In this fight, some allies are already deployed and you'll take control of them, but you cannot change their deployment. Morwen is useful in the front row, while Javik's abilities favor the back row. When you're done deploying, initiate combat by clicking the begin fight button. Okay. Put her up front. Put him in the back. And we'll begin fight. And that required loading for some reason. What the hell? Did he just kill that dude right off? Okay. That's interesting. Some skills can target friendly units to support, protect, or even heal them. In this fight, a lot of Javik's skills cannot be used because undead enemies are immune to mind-affecting effects. Javik is far from useless, however. He can use his premonition skill to help his allies keep his allies buffed. Buffs do not stack, but are refreshed when recast. Okay. Sidarius is a very tough companion due to his armor and good defenses. His skills also include support skill that enhances his stats. Some skills can affect multiple targets. Okay. So, Unholy Strike. Please strike 2 adjacent enemies in the front row for medium damage. Well, there's nobody adjacent. Use damage and accuracy. Bane. Initiative and accuracy. I guess we're just doing an Unholy Strike then. Why is this not working? Oh, he can't do it over there? Can only do it to these guys because they're... Okay, because that guy's too far away. Alright, fine. Combat is cruel and in general you cannot heal during it. Your defenses are your main way to mitigate damage. Evade allows you to completely avoid an attack, but you'll be moved to adjacent occupied. Successful block provides extra arm against the attack. Suffer damage. Each companion has different evade and block chance, but because certain skills are better against one or the other, you have to change these by clicking the defense mode icon. Continue combat. Okay. Sure, I guess. Average kick. Devastating blow on this thing, maybe? Kill it? Or not? You, the Vagrus, may not take part directly in companion combat, but that does not mean you have no means to influence. Many of your leadership perks allow you to use resourcefulness in various ways in combat. You have two options for now. Aid, which allows you to revive down companions. Inspire, which gives a substantial defense buff to a target character for 3 rounds. Use Inspire to give a character additional defenses. Okay. So, how do I do that? Aid. Inspire. Okay, Javik, you gotta move back over here, friend. Okay. Let's do cleave here. But cleave was supposed to do damage to both of them, and this guy is standing on both things here. It's weird. Okay. Try. I don't know if I want to try strafe, because I don't want her to move to the side. Javik, can you can't do anything, right? I mean, it says you can damage them. But I guess, let's give you a buff, I guess. Alright, so there's, what can you do? Enemy is cursed. Well, that's not going to help. Okay. Buff her a little bit, I guess. And there's Unholy Strike. Move you over here. Well. So can I can't do a mind blast on this guy? No, I can't. Okay. There's really not a whole lot of stuff we can actually do in this fight, which is a bit unfortunate, because it's basically just keep slashing at him. There's not any real, I can't see any real strategy to this other than just keep slashing at them. And like, you know, Javik is completely useless. as well, which is just weird. Like, why even have this battle? Also, this having to click twice is starting to drive me insane here. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to pull here. Okay. This is, if you're watching this and you're bored, I'm also bored right now. This is about the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life, right here. I mean, it's like 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point. Yeah, it's like, okay, fine. We're just like pinpricking each other. I feel like there just needs to be a repeat button here, which is like repeat the same actions you did last time, because that's all you can do at this point. You know what I mean? I'm so sick of this combat right now. Like this is like the dumbest thing in the world right now. Like what? This is so boring. Look at this, just miss, back and forth. That's like evade. Yeah, I mean, I can't, and this guy can't use anything. So what's the point of even? And they killed off that one dude like right away. So I don't know, like, what is the point here? Any of this. Can I raise that guy? It takes 3 resourcefulness, which we only have 2? Or we have 6? I have no idea. This number makes no sense. Do I have 6 or do I have 2? I have no idea. Okay. It is over. The undead finally stopped moving, their bodies lying mutilated all around the hills. The large abomination was hacked to pieces and is now a jumbled pile of ash and petrified bones. Some of your crew also got torn up. There are several wounded and 1 dead. The man in the black armor is the only one of his company who survived the battle. He's sitting on a rock nearby, covered in ash from hacking at the abomination. Drinking ponderously from a water skin while he is observing the battlefield, his grim gaze wanders from one slain companion to the other as if wanting to make sure that all of them are dead. At length, his piercing gaze finds you, and a chill runs down your spine. There is no doubt in your mind that the man and you need to talk. There's doubt in my mind that we need to talk. You know what? I'm done. This is boring. Holy shit, this is boring. So, yeah. I know that they said up front that it's like, there's a lot of reading. And I get that. Your tutorial is terrible. Like, a tutorial needs to be done and over with. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to tutorialize, then just do it and be done. Like, why is that tutorial such a long-winded nonsense thing? You know what I mean? Like, I get that you're trying to build up the story of your game and all that stuff, and it's, well, I mean, it's vaguely interesting. Sort of. I don't know. I can't even say that this is an interesting story. Honestly, right now, it's just kind of bland. There's a lot of words, and most of them are one and done. You know. Like, we were basically on one long fetch quest. And, okay. Sure, I could have skipped that. I probably could have skipped that and would have probably understood the game as it was even without it. And maybe we could see you like the open world and stuff. But honestly, I'm just beat. This is just a bore fest. Holy hell, is it a bore fest? Like they just need to wrap it up a little bit more. I get that they're trying to build a novel. It's one of those games where it's like we have a whole big novel and we have all this stuff to say, and honestly, you need to like condense it a bit, because for all that you're saying, the game is just boring. It's just 1,000% boring right now. It looks like there's a lot of stuff that could go on under the covers there. It looks like if I had maybe skipped the tutorial and did the more open world part of it, maybe it'd be a little bit more interesting. And I will come back to this and probably do that. But right now, it's so bland. It's so by the numbers. There's a lot of complexity in here that doesn't need explanation, but they've got tons of explanation in it. It's just like, and honestly, for all the tutorializing that they did, what did I spend most of my time doing? Just clicking on a node and saying go there. Click on a node, say go there. Oh, it's the end of the day. Okay, so just pay the dudes. Click on a node and go there. Pay the dudes. Click on a node and go there. It's the most rote thing you could possibly be doing. And sure, I like a good story. I really do. But I can't, I'm here to play a game. You know what I mean? I'm here to play a game, not sit through a story that is actually not really even that interesting. Like, I mean, you had me in the opening cinematic was rather good. The premise of it is really interesting, although done to death. But it's like the turn-based combat is just boring. There's no real options given to you about how you're going to fight something. It's just like, okay, I just gotta keep on hitting it with my sword. That's all I can do. Keep hitting it with my sword. You know, the combat feels like it's an afterthought. It feels like it's bolted on just because otherwise this wouldn't be a game at all. It would just be a visual novel. Yeah, I'm gonna say they need to go back to the drawing board on this one, or maybe not back to the drawing board. I mean, they're definitely following a pattern that I've seen other games do, like the Banner Saga. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But here's the thing: the Banner Saga got to the point a lot faster than this game is getting to the point. And I think the best thing they could do with this game is take those, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of text and cut it down to 20 pages of text. Seriously. Because at some point you've got to, it's got to move along at some point. This is not Lord of the Rings, right? It's not like, there's got to be something compelling to keep it going. And right now, it's just like, it's a whole lot of dialogue about dust storms and spectral things that just fly by, and it's like, oh, let's do a dice roll. Oh, okay, you're carrying this stuff here, and oh, you convinced this guy to let you get a discount, and it's like, oh my god. It's boring. I mean, that's the best way I can describe this right now. It's a boring game. It's a really, really boring game, and they're really going to have to go in and figure out what part of that text is actually interesting, what part of the story is actually interesting, and cut out all the other bullshit and just stick to the interesting parts. Because it's just, I want to come back to this and play the open world because it looks like there's a lot of mechanics there. But it's going to take me a while to get back to this because right now, if there wasn't that open world option, I would never come back to it at all. Like, this would just be done. This would just sit in my library and never be played again. But because there is that there, I at least want to give it a fair shake in that regard. But yeah, it's going to be a while off, friends. It's going to be a while from now because this is just exhausting. But anyway, with that said, this has been Vagrus, the Riven Realms. It is by Lost Pilgrim Studio. It's in early access right now on Steam. It's currently 10% off at $26.99 US. Normally, it is $30 US. As always, I will leave links down in the description so you can do your own due diligence. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time.